Hello everyone, this is Dawn over at Plot Chronicles. I'm doing a series on favorite authors. This week I'm going to talk about one of mine. Name is Liv Constantine. I'm going to tell you some of the books, what type of books. But Liv Constantine is the pen name for two sisters, Lynn and Valerie Constantine. They write them together. Gripping psychological thrillers. And I have to tell you, I'm going to tell you the books I read. Now, they may have written more, but every single one of these books I like, okay? Now, there's some people that I love most of their books, and I'll put them in a favorite author if I like 90% of their books. But then there's some authors that they're hit and miss. You might give me 10 books, and I like 5 and dislike 5. So, I'm going to tell you my favorite books of these authors, too. The Last Mrs. Parrish, The Next Mrs. Parrish. So, obviously, part 1 and part 2. The Senator's Wife, The Wife Stalker, The Stranger in the Mirror, The Last Time I Saw You. Now, I'll just key in on a little bit on the first two. The Last Mrs. Parrish is basically about a woman that seems to be happily married and has 2 little girls and all this. And she ends up being friends with somebody that wants her husband and thinks, oh, this guy's a real catch. But is this guy a real catch? Because the Last Mrs. Parrish decides, okay, she can have him. And then the story really begins. I'll just say that. But you know what? What I love about many of these thrillers, like Frida McFadden, Liv Constantine, is that there's so many twists and turns and you think you know what's going on, but do you really? So I highly recommend her, and I'm going to say, and I always say this about authors, what I like about her books is they grip you right away. They don't lag in the middle and become boring. They give the reader different perspectives from different characters, okay? Many times the books will go back 10 years before, or then they'll go to the next character and give a perspective. So it keeps you wanting to read, and it doesn't dry up in the middle of the book. That, I told you guys, that's my biggest pet peeves. It starts off strong. Now you're on page 300 on a 500-page book, and all of a sudden it dries up and you're like, oh gosh, I've already invested all this time. What am I going to do? So, I recommend it because she doesn't have tons of characters. It's easy to understand, and there's a lot of twists and turns, and there's always vengeance and things like that in the books too. So, let me know. Have any of you read any of Liv Constantine's books? I'd love to hear. I'm going to put her name below if you want to check her out, but it's actually 2 sisters. Each week, I'm going to be telling you about a different author. Some of the authors I may have told you about before, but that way you can kind of see some of my favorite authors. So let me know in the comments below, are you reading any good books? And have you read any of Liv Constantine books? That's all I have to say for now. Love you, appreciate you, and hope to see you on tomorrow's video. Bye, everybody.